take the planet on a ride. One woman, one tribe, one country at a time. Do you without the SS Enterprise. Exploration at every destination, get some exercise. Frolic with the boys and girls. All the scents, know the sights, know the noises in the world to give a whirl. At the entire atlas of maps. That's no madness, chaps.
We heard stories from everyone, all the staff at Tafua Beach Falaise, but it was really Lenny's story that stuck out to us the most. We were actually driving into Apia and, you know, just casually talking about what it was like to go through the 2009 tsunami. And reality kicks in as he's talking to you about, you know, what he went through that day. And you realize that this man lost 2 children in one wave that was about the span of 6 minutes. His whole world was devastated, and we were lucky enough to be able to have some intimate moments with him.
Reenact for me. Where were you? What was going on? Was it just business as usual? Like, what happened on this day? Just take me through it.
Well, it's not in this village. It's just the next village over. But I was supposed to work at 7 a.m. There was a resort right next to my fale, and it was supposed to work at 7 a.m. So my routine was before 7, I would go into the shower, and it was 6:50 a.m. and I was showering, shaving. The earthquake just started rumbling, and then I was just like, what the heck, And I went out and looked at the ground, and the earth was still moving, but then it stopped. Even though when it stopped, it was still tremoring, and I was like, oh, this is weird. So I go back in and finish up showering, and finished showering, walked out. As I came out of the shower, I walked towards a mountain in the back of our fales, and everyone was outside of the house, like my wife's family. And we were looking at the top of these mountains. Well, our mountains are higher than this. But yeah, we were looking at the mountains, and then the rocks started coming down, and we were just looking. And one of my sister-in-law, she was on this main road. She yells over to us when we were all standing on this side. There's a wave coming, and so we turned around like that, and bam, big wall of water, just coming close to the shore, and I just froze. Yeah. But everyone else screamed and I just froze, and I ran up to where my car was parked. So I had another car before, and that's where I last seen my son riding his little bicycle around. So I was under the ocean on land, and then I got stuck under a tree. Under some limbs, branches. Yeah.
So it didn't pull you back out?
No, it didn't pull me back out. I was caught under the tree, and then I was just like trying to free myself. And I was like, oh, just all kind of feelings, I was scared, panicky, and I was able to get back up, and then got some quick air, and then bam, the second wave came and just took me back under again. Under the same tree, and all that was going through my head was just family, and it's just real, it's just a dream. And then when I was down there, I was gonna give up, in the movies when you see death, like tunnel, you see a tunnel with the light at the end. Yeah, I started picturing that, and I was like, all right, take me. So I just laid back in the water and just accepted death, And then miraculously, I was able to get up. I don't know how, but I was able just to get up from the wave. And then I got air, and then I heard screams coming from that direction. My father-in-law, my mother-in-law, my wife, and my nephew was already on top of the rocks. And they was just screaming like, God, Leatua. I said, why?
So how did they figure out who was missing? Like, how did they do like a big census or what? For each family?
family knew who was missing.
Like they couldn't, but you, I know like they were bringing some people up to like the Tafua family place, and like that was the hospital or whatever. Like, was your family like everywhere, or did you guys worry you?
At the time when the incident happened, I had my daughter, my 2 nieces. They were already on their way to school that morning. Now they were our biggest worry because they weren't with us. You know, we thought that they were caught in the wave also. But us that were still on land at the property, yeah, my 2 kids, yeah, they died, and yeah, because everyone knows, you know, oh, where's this and that, you know, and we knew that my 2 children didn't make it. Because my wife, she ran off with my 7-month-old, and my nephew ran off with my 2-year-old. What was crazy about this, when the wave came, they ran separate ways. My wife went that way, and my nephew ran that way. But at the end, my neighbors, like from here to that valley, to the house, but in the back, that's where they found my kids, my 2 kids. And it's strange how, like, this is where they found my son, and from to that flower thing, red flower, that's where they found my daughter.
But they went 2 different directions.
Yeah, they went 2 different directions.
They got pushed back together.
Yeah.
So we were driving in, and then when they told us what you said yesterday, it was like, dude. I was like, no breaks.
Yeah.
Dude, like you know, and it shows how big your heart is. That it's like, okay, I went through this, but it's like, okay, not that it's over, but it's just like there's other things in this country we need to deal with, and we need to do, and we need to focus on, and we need to handle. And so it was hearing about it when we were talking to them, and they were like, Lenny was telling us his story and all of that. It was like, man, I sat in this car with this dude for like over 2 hours. And like, I mean, your energy is amazing.
We never heard about how it affected you all here in Samoa. And, you know, for me, I'm from New Orleans, and I guess it's coming up on 9 years ago, we had Hurricane Katrina, you know, and that destroyed a lot of our city. And, you know, so I can definitely understand, you know, losing everything, and, you know, people saying, well, you know, well, why rebuild? Why do this? And, you know, people asking these questions, but, you know, I get it. I get it. You know, you rebuild and you go on because that's what you do. That's what you have to do.
Like I've been in a different survival setting when I was in the States. Like I was a bad child. You know, I grew up around gangs and drugs, and you know, I've gotten over that part, you know, in life, and it's just coming back here in Samoa, you know, and then going through, you know, different experiences, you know, evolving in like natural disasters here, you know, like gangs, drugs, and Mother Nature, God, you know. I'm scared of Mother Nature and God.
Glory and praise, Lord God, because you alone are worthy, Lord God. And as I stand here, God, just praying for my brothers and sisters, Lord God, I just pray for this resort. I pray for Tafua, Father God.
Everyone cried when we left. There were staff members who didn't work that day, staff members who didn't have shifts that started until later in the day, who woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning to see us off on our 8 o'clock van. And it was really the leaving that showed how impactful the trip was, and how us being there just really shaped the entire Beach Valley area. You know, I remember us all being in the van right before we left, and one of the last things I remember was Lenny being like, damn, it's quiet already. We hadn't even left yet. We just all congregated in the van, and for them to already see the difference that this ball of energy of these people that, you know, came in from the United States, took it over, for 6 days, and we're now on our way and our journeys back home. It was amazing, and I will never ever ever forget them or this trip as long as I live.
Hardly keep your balance, running with no madness. Hardly got no madness, bananas. No madness. You may got that ass where your ass.
I actually had the chance to visit one of our tribe members that actually grew up in South Africa and is a resident now, Michelle. We took a day trip to South Africa's capital, Pretoria, and had a chance to visit the Union building and really have an honest talk about apartheid and also the way that it's been affected by its many leaders, including Nelson Mandela.
And it was supposed to work at 7 a.m. So my routine was before 7, I would go into the shower, and it was 6:50 a.m. and I was showering, shaving. The earthquake just started rumbling, and then I was just like, what the heck, and I went out and looked at the ground, and the earth was still moving. But then
Intimate moments with him.
Reenact for me. Where were you? What was going on? Was it just business as usual? Like, what happened on this day? Just take me through it.
Well, it's not in this village. It's just the next village over. But I was supposed to work at 7 a.m. There was a resort right next to my fale.
Madness, chaps.
We heard stories from everyone, all the staff at Tafua, Beach Fales, but it was really Lenny's story that stuck out to us the most. We were actually driving into Apia and, just casually talking about what it was like to go through the 2009 tsunami.
Take the planet on a ride. One woman, one tribe, one country at a time. Do you without the SS Enterprise? Exploration at every destination, get some exercise. Frolic with the boys and girls. All the scents, know the sights, know the noises in the world to give a whirl. At the entire atlas of maps. That's no
And reality kicks in as he's talking to you about, what he went through that day. And you realize that this man lost 2 children in one wave that was about the span of 6 minutes. His whole world was devastated, and we were lucky enough to be able to have some